I've never heard it do that before. Okay, so this is Fusion. You guys that were in 8th grade last year or a couple years ago, it looks kind of like Inventor. You see your workspace, you see some tools at the top. Your browser is a little bit less formal. It kind of floats over your workspace. You can make it go away if it's really driving you crazy, but you do need it at times, and we'll talk about that. Up here in document settings, this is where you can change your units. My units are in inches. You can change the inches to centimeters, millimeters, meters, whatever you need to do. I'm just going to leave it in inches for this video. Your stuff's right there. Okay, so like I said, this is your workspace, and you've got some tools up at the top. You've got your sketch tools. You've got create a sketch, line, rectangle, circle, arc, polygon, ellipse, spline. You guys remember spline? That's up there. We've got fillet. Do you guys remember fillet and trim? This is good stuff. We've also got create. We've got extrude, revolve, sweep, loft. Do you see how it's showing me what all these tools are? If you get confused or need to double check something, you can always just click on the menus, hover over them, and it'll show you what they are and what they do, and it kind of gives you a little description of what needs to happen. We also have modify. Modify is where we can push and pull things. We can drag our extrusions. If you made them too big or too small, you can click and drag them to shrink or expand. We have fillet, chamfer, shell, some of the tools you might remember from last year. We're going to spend some time with split body this year, so this will become important. And assemble. Assemble is where we can put things together. We didn't do much of that in 8th grade, but you can put parts together all in the same workspace. Now, in Inventor, we used to have to build separate parts, and we used to have to import those parts into a separate assembly file, and it could get really confusing. If you thought you were in a part file or an assembly file, they acted differently. Now, it's all one space, which is really nice. Down here at the bottom, we have our tree, which is going to show us what we've done, and we'll come back to that later. Before I do anything, I'm going to come up here to the data panel, and I'm going to open this up. It'll probably look more like this when you guys get here. Okay, so when you guys get here, this is what it's going to look like. You need to click on New Project, and we're going to make an IED project. All of the work you do is going to stay in this IED project, and you are going to take screenshots of your work, and there are going to be times where you share your work. Fusion is web-based, so you can share files just like you share a Word file or an Excel file or a PowerPoint. And when we start doing project work, this is going to come in really handy. You aren't all going to have to build your own Fusion model for the projects every time. In your IED folder, this assignment is called 5.5a. So I want you to make a folder called 5.5a, and this is where we're going to save all our work. Does everybody feel like that's something you can do? Make the project called IED, and then make the folder called 5.5a. So in here, okay, see how I'm in the 5.5a folder? I'm going to save this file. Before I even do anything, I'm going to save it, and I'm going to call it rubber handle. What we're building today is a rubber handle. Okay? So now you can see my file is called rubber handle, and it's inside my 5.5a folder. In Teams, in Class Notebook, Unit 3 CAD, come on, Teams. Open up your pages. There was our measurement notes from yesterday. If you guys need to review those, remember your measurement assignments due tonight. September 27th through October 5th, Fusion. We're going to be working on this assignment for, till about next Thursday. So about 8 days, we're going to be working on this. Page 2 starts our directions for the rubber handle. So I'm going to get rid of my pages real quick. This is what the rubber handle looks like. So we're going to build this model of a rubber handle for a button maker. This is a cross-section view, so it's showing me, see these section lines? So my section lines are showing me that I know it's cut in half. I have a construction line right here. What is this construction line showing me? The halfway point, the radius. The radius, do you see my diameter here? My diameter, 1.375, that's the big diameter of the entire handle. I've got another diameter over here, 0.1875. That's the little hole in the middle, right? The thickness of the rubber handle is 0.25. This thickness right here of this wall, 0.156. And the total length is 0.4469. There are some missing dimensions we're going to need. Down here, this diagram shows you some of the dimensions you're going to need to figure out. So there's a little bit of math involved, but fear not, Fusion does math for us. Fusion loves to math, and it's going to make you very happy. So we've got some things going on up here, some dimensions we need to pay attention to. And the last thing I want to show you is this fillet right here. Do you see these rounded edges? We're going to use a fillet to make those rounded edges. So this means the radius on the fillet is 0.25 TYP. Would you guys want to guess what TIP stands for? Typical. Stands for typical. So when we dimension drawings, and we'll talk more about dimensioning rules in a couple weeks, you'd never want to underdimension. You always need enough dimensions to build a project, but you don't want to over-dimension either. Over-dimensioning makes a mess. And if we dimensioned every single fillet on here, that would add, more dimensions that would clutter up the drawing. So tip means typical. So every time you see a filleted edge that's not dimensioned, you're going to assume that it has a 0.25 radius. Is that okay? All right. So let's get to some fusioning. You ready? I'm going to start with this baseline because it's nice and easy, 4.469. So in Fusion, I'm going to come up to my sketch tools, my line tool. Do you see that L right there? That L is telling me that L is a hotkey. So I can come up here and I can click line. Oh, I need a sketch first. So before I can make a line, I need a sketch. What I'm seeing here are my axes. I'm seeing my XY axes, my YZ axis, and my XZ axis. So X is red, Y is green, Z is blue coming out at you. We typically work, we'll decide which plane is most appropriate based on the project, but XY is a fine plane to start in for today. So we've got our sketch. Down here at the bottom in my tree, I can see that I'm in a sketch now. That wasn't there before. So I can use my line. I can come up here and I can click on it, or I can just use my left hand to click L, and I've got my line. Do you see how my mouse changed? Got my line tool, and I'm going to start at the origin. We always want to constrain our sketches. Constraining our sketches means we start at the origin. I'm going to drag my line out. Why are you making a construction line? Okay, there we go. I have a regular line. What was the dimension? 4.469, right? Enter. Now, my blue line is my object line. Yes? What's this line called? Extension. What's this line called? Good. Now, if I'm going to try and build my rubber handle up in this space, do I want my dimension up there? No. So I'm just going to pull it out. Now it's not in my way anymore. Cool, right? Okay, now I'm going to go back to teams. I can come up here. What was the thickness of the rubber handle? How far should this line go up? 0.25. Very good. So I'm going to need to flip back and forth between these two drawings to get my dimensions. L for line. Click here. And I'm going to come up 0.25. All right. Do I want that dimension there? No. There we go. Better. Now, where should I go from here? I'm going to have to come across. So this line isn't as long as the 4.469. How much shorter is it? 0.156. Do you want to subtract that in your head? You totally could. I don't want to. So I'm going to start my line, and it's 4.469 minus, what was it? 0.156. Okay, and if I hit enter, Fusion will math for me. Pretty sweet, right? Yeah? So as long as you can look at your drawings and figure out what you need your dimensions to be, Fusion will do the math for you. Now, some of these dimensions are going to start getting in my way. If I don't want all these dimensions here, I can right-click, delete them. It's important that I use dimensions to build this correctly, but I don't have to leave them there if they're in my way. You can delete whatever dimensions you want to. Okay, now to come up. How far am I going to need to come up on that edge? What is this dimension right here? How am I going to find that? It's not labeled up here either. Oh, I'm almost out of time. I have my diameter of the entire handle, right? And I've got my diameter of the radius. This line goes up to that little diameter, right? The diameter of the hole. So if I take the big diameter minus the little diameter and divide by 2, that'll give me the height right there.